There are things that survive far longer than the men who carried them. Metal remembers nothing, yet it seems to gather the weight of every hand that grasped it. Every fearful instant, every desperate resolve, and every fleeting bout of courage. This revolver, fashioned around the year 1880 by Merwin, Hulbert Co, is one such remnant. Once, it was merely an instrument of polished nickel and ivory, admired for its ingenuity of its design. It was prized because it surrendered spent cartridges with remarkable speed before accepting the fresh ones. In an age when reloads and hesitation could be fatal, such efficiency was not trivial. Though the true measure of this weapon lies not in the mechanism, but in the lives it converged upon. Its history is preserved with uncommon certainty through the yellowed papers that endured almost as stubbornly as the scarred revolver itself. Official records from El Paso, Texas speak in restrained language of the law, but beneath every sentence lies the turbulence of the frontier, forever wavering between order and violence. The record that this pistol identified by its serial number was taken from a man accused of brandishing it upon the dusty streets of his Texas town. It remained in custody of the sheriff while justice, slow and uncertain, took its course. Years later, another notarized document traced its passage into private hands, preserving the chain of possession that would outlast every witness to those fateful events. The man from whom it was taken was known throughout Texas by the name Bass Outlaw. A Georgian born to a respectable family could have easily lived a quiet existence, cultivating fields beneath an indifferent sky. But there are temperaments that cannot be enclosed within the quiet boundaries of an ordinary life. The frontier called with promises, with equal parts duty and danger. He entered the ranks of the Texas Rangers in the middle of the 1880s, serving beneath one captain and then another. His reputation grew as a man of grit, a man who held fearless determination. Those who rode beside him remembered his courage with admiration, though not without concern. He possessed an unsettling quality of those who regard death less as an enemy than as an unavoidable companion. His reputation carried him beyond the Rangers into the harsh country of northern Mexico, where silver mines demanded protection from men who valued treasure above life. Violence followed him and his fellow Rangers as faithfully as shadows. While working the mines, an encounter with a knife-wielding outlaw ended in bloodshed, and another page added to the growing ledger that the frontier seemed determined to keep. When he returned to the Rangers in 1890, a promotion soon followed. His companions admired him, not merely for his skill with a revolver, but for his generosity of spirit that revealed itself in the quieter moments along the frontier. A fellow ranger remembered him as a man who laughed louder than others, rode farther than most, cursed with extraordinary conviction, yet could show uncommon tenderness when hardship demanded it. His dismissal from the Rangers came in 1892, but even then his abilities remained too valuable to be ignored. His reputation for reckless bravery helped him find work as a deputy U.S. Marshal and a Special Ranger. And he continued to move through an uncertain landscape where distinction between Guardian and Gunfighter often depended upon little more than circumstance. Among those who stood beside him was U.S. Deputy Marshal George Scarborough, another lawman whose name would become inseparable from the violence still to come. Their friendship belonged to that of fraternity, forged in the frontier where survival depended on absolute and unwavering trust. The final chapter unfolded in El Paso during the spring of 1894. The city, restless beneath the desert sun, offered every temptation to a weary man. Bass drifted from saloon to saloon, from one drink to the next, until the evening found him once again inside the establishment of Tilly Howard. It was there that he crossed paths with Constable John Selman, a man whose life balanced easily between justice and violence. Whether it was an accident, a movement in anger, or a drunken confusion scarcely matters. What remains is certain, is that the sound drew men whose professions compelled them toward danger rather than away from it. Texas Ranger Joe McKittrick hurried to intervene, believing that friendship might accomplish what force could not. He approached Bass with the confidence of one ranger addressing another. Witnesses would later claim that his answer came in gunfire, and McKittrick fell. Selman rushed towards, and the distance between the two men was so slight that the flame from Bass's revolver scorched his face. Yet fortune temporarily spared Selman. Blinded but not defeated, he answered with his own six-gun. Bass staggered, hit well, bleeding from the chest. He sought cover, firing as his life depended on it, striking Selman twice in the leg, but also receiving another fatal round. Hours later, he died beneath Selman's arrest. The official telegram announcing the deaths was cold in its brevity. It merely informed a superior that Ranger Joe McKittrick had been killed while attempting to arrest BL Outlaw, and the outlaw himself was now dead. Such messages never reveal the silence that follows. But history was not finished with the men who had survived that fateful day. George Scarborough, Jeff Milton, John Selman, Martin Ambrose, and Beulah Ambrose, and the infamous John Wesley Hardin would all find themselves drawn into the succession of confrontations, accusations, betrayals, and killings. Hardin fell beneath Selman's pistol. Selman himself later died in a gunfight with George Scarborough, the old pard of Bass Outlaw. Just 4 years later, Scarborough would be mortally wounded and die the 5th day of April, the very anniversary of his friend whose memory had never entirely released him. Thus the years seemed to move not in a straight line, but in intertwined, widening circles. Each act of violence summoning another, each survivor becoming the next participant in a drama no individual truly controlled. And so we return to this revolver. Its steel bears no opinion of justice or guilt. It knows nothing of courage, friendship, weakness, or regret. Yet it endures while generations were buried beneath the old collegiate, carrying within its unchanging form the echoes of the frontier, where law often upheld by men scarcely less fierce than those they pursued. In the end, perhaps this is what such an object truly preserves. Not merely a memory of a single man named Bass Outlaw, but the uneasy truth that civilization advances through worn hands. And history is often written less by the heroes than by the flawed souls struggling against darkness both around them and within themselves. This August lies an opportunity to become the caretaker of this testament which witnessed the lawlessness of the American West. This historic Merwin Hulbert definitively documented to notorious Texas Ranger turned U.S. Marshal Bass Outlaw. It is only available this August, and it's only available right here at Rock Island Auction Company.